busiest human being in the
I
world.
know.
You
I'm
this
catching up
week,
with you.
this week you have done your own. I mean, it's
Yeah.
wild. What is it like? Appearances? What has been the thing that you have been swamped with?
Well, I mean, once when I went on Meet the Press a few weeks ago, and that kind of like a lot of appearances after that, and
Yeah,
so like nonstop. To be honest with you, it's honestly crazy. Just did a thing with Soledad O'Brien and Jamel Hill, and it was so funny because you talk so bad,
together. Soledad and Jamel Hill are together.
right? Yeah, yeah, they're both together in the
I
segment.
love
So
both of them.
oh, they're great, but it's so funny though. So they wanted first they asked if I could go to New York. They could bring me to New York to do it. I said no, of course not. Then they said, can we send camera crew to your house? I was like, no, don't want to do that
No,
either.
nope.
I'll have the regular setup like I always have. So my setup is going to look just like this, right? What
Yeah.
like it always has. So they sent the camera crew to Jamel in LA, the camera crew to everybody, and they had so many difficulties.
Oh, yeah.
It was mess. So
It
I'm
was like
sitting
the
there.
ESPN horse game.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm literally sitting there for 45 minutes checking my emails and doing stuff because I'm straight, like I'm like this, and they're
Yeah,
just having all these kind of problems. So
yeah. No,
that's how it started.
I hear you. I hear you. There's so much going on. So let's get to some of the big stories. Let's do the big story today. Let's go in chronological order. We'll go today.
Wait. First, before we go, I want you to admit that you were wrong
It's
about the
story.
NBA.
No, it's not wrong.
No.
It's been great. It's been
But
great.
you
And
said
it's
there's
story
no,
two. Fine,
there's
we're doing NBA first. How should I
you
know?
said
I have lost all
everybody.
control.
You said the script is that what is going to happen. You know who's going to win. It's not like
Right.
hockey
And you
where
get your,
anybody
you
can
get
win.
your occasional
And,
upset, and you got it. And it's
look
great.
what you
It's been
got.
great. Miami beating Milwaukee was first, and then Denver
Yep.
beating Los Angeles Clippers was great.
Yep.
Amazing. And you and I need to talk because we're getting the Clippers play-by-play guy on our show when we can do a show. So yeah, I'm
that's
on
great.
it. Dude, I got you. Don't worry. The games have been fantastic. It has been remarkable, and give it up for Denver because Denver has a never say die. Like it's a why not us attitude, and down the stretch they showed poise. And what I thought it was, this was my takeaway, and you tell me, you're the basketball guy. I just thought it proved how great a team the Raptors are because Kawhi going to the Clippers didn't make them a great team.
That's a good point.
Kawhi on the Raptors was something special. And
Right.
that doesn't mean that he can't win with the Clippers, but that team is not what the Kawhi Raptor team was. And if you could clone Kawhi Leonard and have the last year's Raptors against this year's Clippers, the Raptors would win every time.
Yeah, but it's different because the bubble Clippers was different than the regular season Clippers, and that's one thing that you have to look. They're a totally different team. It's like they fell out of sync over the time period of COVID,
Yeah.
and they look like a completely different team the entire bubble season, and they never quite got their flow. It's interesting because also looking at Houston. Russell Westbrook, and he was somebody who tested positive for COVID. He never got his flow in the bubble, ever.
Never.
He looked like he was like forcing it, trying to get, and he could never get a rhythm and everything like that. Then he was trying too hard.
And
And
Lou
it looked
Williams,
like it was
the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, Lou Williams, the same exact way. So it was, I think that had a little bit to do with it. But no, you got to tip your hat to Denver. They looked great. They played great. Tip your hat.
And one thing that I want to explore in the days and weeks to come is how is this playing in Denver? Because here you have the Nuggets going to the NBA Finals. Like, what?
I know.
The Denver Nuggets are going to the NBA Finals, and it's in Orlando. You know what I mean? And Denver is such a great sports town, and it's there's occasional times when I have now felt the missing of fans. And I thought, in some of the hockey play, the U.S. Open, in the finals of the U.S. Open, have we not talked since then? Wow. The finals of the U.S. Open when when she came back from being down a set to force that third set.
Oh, that was
3-3.
If you would have seen my house,
But you wanted to no. But that was when I said, "Oh my God, that crowd! The energy that you would have felt from that crowd would have been incredible." And the same thing with last night. I thought down the street, and Mike Breen is a great announcer, and I love Mike Breen, but I missed, like, I wanted that to be in
the roar,
in the Staples Center, and I want the Nuggets to be making the only noise, and everybody, I wanted all the Clipper fans going like that. Like, I wanted that. I craved
You wanted that part.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And that's a good point. I mean, but you really got to tip your hat to them, though. Did you see Lil Harvey? I keep calling him Lil Harvey, but we had on the that's how Grant. I know him. Jeremy Grant. I know him as Lil Harvey. Yeah. Yes, but I was so happy for him. He's doing great.
Of being on this show.
Come on this show. Right. That's right. Everything started taking off right after he came on our show.
Taking off. Okay. Yes. So that was story 2. But if you're good, story 1 happened about 2 hours ago.
I missed it.
The Big Ten announced that they are starting October 24th, and they are going. And they say they have a rapid testing program. And there have been it has become a political nightmare because the right wing folks. I didn't see that. The right wing folks.
Oh Lord.
Hold on one second.
No, it's cool. I didn't see that at all. You know, I saw the news of, actually that you sent me that LSU, was it LSU? They said most of their team.
Most of the team.
Most of the team.
Yeah. Christine Brennan, who you love, Christine Brennan. Christine Brennan said they become SEC North. Like they're literally just like they're caving to the pressure. They're caving to the protests. They're making up science. And look, they're doing it. Look, here's what I'll say. The conferences that have started so far, the ACC being one of them, so far so good. I mean, so far so good. So let's see. The right-wing argument has been, why can the NFL do it and the ACC do it and no positive tests why can't the Big Ten try? And the SEC, they don't try until a week from Saturday still. Right, a week from Saturday. So they're still a while. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And that my favorite.
So this is it's and I'm retweeting just now Jamel Hill. I was just on a program with her, but she said, so will the daily testing in the Big Ten be available to all students or just the ones who have entire economies built off their free labor?
Just the football players.
Asking for the students who pay tuition.
Totally just the football players. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obvious. Yeah,
No, but that's just the hypocrisy that bothers me so much, Seth, because
it's bad. It's so bad. It's so bad.
It's horrible.
Bad. But hey, they fought for it. I mean, this was the one Trump got involved, and it was. And the weird part is the Pac-12's not, and the Pac-12 is weird because half these teams can't play because of the air quality. The fires in California and Oregon are awful, and I don't know if you saw, but the Oakland-Seattle game last night had to be called because they couldn't breathe, and so you can't play Pac-12.
That's terrible.
It's awful. And California, like I don't think Stanford could play. I don't think Oregon could play. I don't think Washington. I mean, they all couldn't play. So I don't know. But the Big Ten, and I mean, Happy Valley is thrilled. Ohio State is thrilled. They're all ecstatic, and we'll see. My favorite college football story, though, and I waited because I didn't send you this one, and it was the tweet of the year from my buddy Jason Smith. And that is some doctors at the University of Pittsburgh have found a way to create the antibodies. Now, it has to be tested. It's in its infancy, but they feel that if they can give you something, it's kind of like a vaccine where they can give you the antibodies. You don't have COVID, and you get the antibodies. And it sounds very promising. It has to be tested, and we're not jumping to say, okay, let's go run and take it. Right. But put it in perspective. Jason Smith, who's a Syracuse alum, he tweets out from Fox Sports Radio. He says, if this turns out to be true, Syracuse can lose by 8 touchdowns to the Panthers on Saturday, and we'll still be happy.
That's what he said.
I said, I love that. I love that.
Wow.
I was like, you know what? We're going to Pittsburgh, and all I can say is I want Dino Babers to take the field and go, how's that vaccine coming? That's what I want him to talk about. And I'd like him to come after the game and go, yeah, we got blitzed. We lost by 7 touchdowns. And by the way, though, the doctors here are so wonderful. That's what I'd love. I'd love
That's what you want to see.
I'd love that. I've been talking to all my students, one-on-one for their podcasts, and wow, some unique podcasts. They're really interesting.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Well, when we have a longer show, I'll go over some of them, because some of those kids, when they have their first episode, they're coming on this show to promote it because they're interesting. Very, very interesting. But in talking to them, they all don't understand. Syracuse is now at 10. 10 positive cases.
Wow.
What?
The 10.
How is that
possible? I don't know. It goes back to, I was listening to a program and they were talking about, and we suggested this as well, of being a little bit doubtful of some of the data. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, honestly, like we looked at some of the data, we're like, okay, wait a minute, something doesn't sound right here. And would you put it past, university programs or anything like that to fudge the data?
I don't know.
That's the question.
I don't know.
Would you put it past them? Would you be shocked if you heard that that's what they were doing?
I wouldn't be shocked. I won't go there, only in the sense that that would offend me, because what Syracuse is doing now is complying with their conference. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not making an individual decision, but they're united as a conference. And even if they were dissenters, they're towing the conference line, which I'm fine with, because you can't vilify a university for doing that, because that's part of why you join a conference. So I get. Right. What I'm saying is if I found out that Syracuse fudged numbers so that they could keep playing with a god-awful football team, then I'd be really offended.
They're rebuilding.
Rebuilding.
They're rebuilding year. Come on, let's be positive.
I don't know. I don't know if Dino lasts. I don't know how this goes. Goes. I will see. They're 20-point underdogs this Saturday.
I mean, they're rebuilding. That's going to be the phrase. You're going to hear me say that a lot. They're rebuilding.
Baseball had a big announcement. Okay. I think it was yesterday. Right. Their playoffs are going to be in a bubble. They're going to set up a bubble for their postseason, and they're using 3 locations for their championship rounds, and then the World Series is going to be in Texas.
Okay.
Now, if you think about it from a weather standpoint, that makes sense. But there are 2 things where the only thing I can think of is baseball is being tone deaf. That's the only way I can think of it, is they're tone deaf. And that is the 2 locations that they're looking at are L.A. and San Diego. Gorgeous ballparks. What did we just say about California? What did we just say about Los Angeles? What did we just say about the red skies and the poor air quality? Now, in this owners meeting, and you know how owners work, how come how did they decide on Los Angeles and San Diego? Was that let's help those guys out? Let's give them publicity? I don't know what the benefit of having it in those ballparks are. If it's weather, why not Atlanta? Why not Miami? Yeah. Why not Tampa? Why there?
Right.
And that comes off as tone deaf to me. Like, it's like you're not reading the room.
Reading the room. Right. No, and I agree. I definitely agree.
So that was the first. Yeah.
100% agree.
Now, the second thing that I think is just tone deaf is they made a decision. Now, remember, the owners got a $50 million bonus from the networks to create the extra round of playoffs. Right?
Okay. Yep.
Right, we talked about this. And because of that, they want to smush everything. Because, and this is my fear, and this is what's tone deaf, is they are taking away the day off between games 2 and 3 of the LCS and games 5 and 6, which are normally travel days. but you're in a bubble, so you don't need to travel,
Right.
right?
Right.
That changes pitching because now the whole team, all the teams have to change their strategy because you lost an off day to rest your pitchers. Now, if the reason is because you want to add an element of strategy, well, then do that normally and just say, you know what? You play on Wednesday night, you're playing Thursday in another city, and too bad if it's Seattle versus Miami. Too bad.
Right.
Or is it Fox said, we really don't want to air your games in November because we're going to have our primetime programming by then. And that, to me, is tone deaf.
Right.
Because if
I
you're
agree.
being greedy to add the extra round of the playoffs, you're compromising your competition now because you're taking away 2 off days so that the great starters now don't have an extra day of rest, and you're doing it so Fox can be done so that they can air Family Guy? No.
Yeah, but it's all contractual. I mean, that's the whole reason why they're pushing for it is to be able to take advantage in some way, or they don't even consider it taking advantage. They consider it recouping from the loss from COVID. So that's their whole thought. So I mean, tone deaf. I hear you, but they're not even trying to listen to being. You know what I'm saying? That's not the focus. The focus is how can they benefit off of this, and that's an unfortunate reality of it. I mean,
But that's why I said tone deaf. Like, it just seems like, again, read the room. Fox is making demands. You're in a pandemic. You're in a bubble. You just added a whole round of playoffs. This is something that was important to you when you're having your games in Texas?
Yeah. It's all economics.
It's wrong.
That's all it is. What it's about.
It's all kinds of wrong. Okay. Now there's another story that I thought was really, really cool, and I want to get the name of the person. There. That's what I thought it was. WNBA star Maya Moore.
Yep.
She plays for the Minnesota Lynx, and she's a superstar. There was a guy who was in prison, and a lot of people thought it was falsely accused, and I mean that's making a murderer. And Serial, and the Adnan Syed case, and you've seen these true crime stories that have blown up because of the podcast Serial because of true crime. And she campaigned, and she used her resources, and she used her reach and her financial resources to help prove and help free Jonathan Irons, this guy who was wrongly accused. The man she helped free from prison. They got married.
But and he was facing 50 years.
50 years.
50. That's how long he, so first of all, he can't win any argument forever. Like that's, she has the trump card that she, hey, if it weren't for me, you know what I'm saying?
I got you out of prison.
No argument ever.
I got you out of prison. You're taking the goddamn garbage out.
No, not a question. Not even a question. And you're cooking dinner, and you're doing something, and you're taking the kids. It's not even. You have nothing to say.
You think you're driving carpool?
right. Ain't no rotation. You're doing the carpool. But it was amazing. It's an amazing story when you look at everything she had to, fight for in order to be able to present the evidence. Now looking at it differently, it's messed up that if she wouldn't have had the financial means to be able to do all the research and do that, he would have been sitting in jail for 50 years.
That's
the problem.
Right. That's making a murderer. Of course.
Oh, that's because
of course.
Most of the, you shouldn't get justice based on economics. That is not the way that it should work. You know what I mean? So that part, looking at that part of the story, you're like, wow. So, I mean, and I've done so much work. I do a lot of work with, young guys in the correctional facilities. They don't call them prison, correctional facilities. And I would honestly say, like, 85% of their cases, I'm looking at them and they're telling me how they came about. And, they're given a public defender and they were handed their case like minutes before and they're shuffling through it and they don't even know any particulars and everything like that. And they try to get them to plea out and everything. And that's the way that it goes. But if they would have had financial means to be able to, examine all the particulars of it, most of them wouldn't be in that position. And that's just a messed up. that case with Maya Moore should highlight, and it's a great story.
It's a
but
great story.
I'm looking at it and I'm like, but that should highlight what's wrong with the system.
Of course.
Because he would have been in there for 50 years.
Did you ever see the Adnan Syed case, the documentary on HBO, or the podcast Serial?
I didn't.
This kid, this Muslim kid, was accused of killing his high school girlfriend, and there's so much evidence that gives you doubt. That's all I'm saying. It's overwhelming that there's doubt. You know, there's some people who think he might have done it. If he did it, he's really unlucky because there's so many reasons why he didn't. And this Muslim kid, and they do this documentary, and I'm friendly with his aunt, Rabia, because I supported her podcast. That's all it was. I supported her podcast. She followed me on Twitter, and we've talked. And she's wonderful. And she's absolutely wonderful. And I introduced her because she started her own podcast, and I introduced her to the voice of Wonder Woman from the Justice League cartoon. And I said, she should be like the narrator of your podcast. Like, you know, it's a criminal justice thing, and she has a great voice for that. And I introduced them because Susan was also tweeting about what Rabia was fighting for. And there's that, and then there's Making a Murderer, which is these dumb. I don't mean to say dumb. They're just so uneducated, and they have. I mean, this guy he served 19 years for raping a woman. He didn't rape her. And now he's in jail for murdering this other woman, and there's no way he did that. And it's crazy. You hear these stories all the time, and this is one that look. I had heard that Maya Moore freed this guy. I did not know that they married.
I didn't either. I found that out today. I was like, oh wow,
amazing.
That's amazing.
That's very cool. And yes, you can.
That's dedication.
That joke is a great joke. That's a great joke. No, you can say, listen, I am never taking out the garbage, ever.
Ever again. All of it.
And she sacrificed time in her career, and you know how athletes'
like
careers are finite.
She was like one of the top players in the WNBA. Like, she was killing it, you know, and then she stepped away and was dedicated. That's like, you know, that's a whole different bar level set for, you know, they say like a ride or die chick. You know what I mean? Somebody that has your back and stuff. Like, she set the bar very high. Yeah, because that's amazing right there.
All right, in the time we have remaining, one other from the weekend. I got into a Facebook fight, and I deleted Facebook off my phone.
Did you?
I have to be done.
I told you
cancel my
stay
account.
Out the comment section.
It's not the comments. It's not that.
Oh,
it's not that.
Okay. What happened?
So the Jets are playing the Bills on Sunday, and I have to watch it because I have to cover it for Sports Illustrated. It's my first game, and it's weird because I'm watching it on my computer. It's awkward, and the Jets suck. And so I got bored, and I started going on Facebook, and every other post was, I'm done with the NFL. I can't watch the NFL. These people with the protests, they can't do. And I realized, and I said, there's so many people. Hold on one second.
No, so that's here. You can take your time for it, but that's the crazy part, because I actually wrote about that. The Houston Texans and the Kansas City, when they booed.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
But none of the games on Sunday were had fans except for Jacksonville, and that wasn't getting a lot of television coverage. It was really. It just was offensive, and I for every person I commented on every one of them, and I just said, well, why? Why can't you just let these people have their message, even if you don't care about it, and just watch the game and shut up?
Like, why does it bother you so much?
And I found out, if you look at the thread of people, so I wrote something on Facebook, and if you look at the thread of people that commented on my Facebook, I have deleted a lot of people. I wrote, I just spent 15 minutes on Facebook now and saw 4 separate posts complaining that the NFL is including protests and letting the players voice their opinions. Then I saw 2 idiots complain that the Washington football team doesn't have a new name yet. For the effort that people go to Facebook, write these inappropriate posts, and come off so tone deaf, can you please spend a minute and actually research why people are trying to use a powerful voice like NFL football to get a message of great importance to them? I refuse to believe there are actual racists on my Facebook feed, although these days I shouldn't be surprised. Don't worry about the protests. Don't worry about the anthem. You complained for 6 months about the return of sports, and that's a sport that's doing well with its COVID numbers. And if this post offends you, unfriend me, block me. We'd probably be better off that way anyhow. 35 people. 35 people gone.
They got just like that?
Gone.
Off of that post? That's amazing.
94 comments. 94 comments and 100 and something like 200 something likes, and and people were literally, one guy wrote bye, and
just bye, and it was, and a lot of people were like thank you, like a lot of people, but the fact of the matter is I wasn't doing it for praise, and like these idiots that are saying like I called them the Washington Redskins since I was a kid. I don't care. Right.
I don't care. You can't do that. You can't do that. That's an offensive name. Now, I will give my cousin one little piece because I got to add some brevity to this thing.
Okay.
My cousin took a picture for his daughter, so I guess my niece had a birthday, and they took a picture, and he has a Redskins pennant in the back, and it's signed by the whole team. He got it when he was a kid.
Yeah.
He says, I'm not taking that down. I said,
right.
That doesn't make you racist.
Right.
You have a pennant that has the signatures. And a lot of people have Redskin stuff. You're not burning your Redskin stuff.
Well, my son Malcolm, he has RG3 stuff. I told you a story about why he likes RG3, but he still has his RG3 stuff,
And he doesn't have
he's like RG3 is still cool with me. That's what he said.
But you can't you going on a website, a social media site to complain that they are not the Washington football team?
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
35 people all were disagreeing, and I blocked all of them.
Yeah.
I blocked a former trainer. I blocked friends, people. There are people that I didn't know. There were a couple of people where I would write back, and I'd go, how do I know you anyway?
Yeah.
Because my Facebook, when I joined Facebook, ESPN made me do it. And it was in 2009, and that's not my real name anyway.
Right.
So I didn't care who was. And there are people on my Facebook that I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And I'll literally be like, how do I know you anyway?
That's funny. So but it does kind of suck when you see people that you like grew up with. Like, wait a minute, I've known you since middle school. Like, I never knew that you thought like this. That's the part where it's sad. People who you don't know, you're like, whatever. This person thinks this person thinks that. But when it's somebody who you actually knew, it's like, oh, you too? That's the part where it gets sad.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I just thought, it was unbelievable. I thought the NFL did a really great job. They're sending their message out. Teams voted to do stuff, and it was a thing of team unity, and I thought that was impressive.
But here's the thing, Seth. They did it before the anthem. Or after the anthem.
A lot of them did.
After the anthem, and they still booed. That tells me it's not about
you're talking about Thursday night. Yes.
Yeah, I'm talking about Thursday. I'm still stuck on that one.
George Fant, who's a lineman for the Jets, came out, and he said he was voted team captain, and he said, I will only discuss issues of social justice. He did a whole press conference on social justice. He did not talk
at all.
He did not talk at all about football or anything like that. And he said he thought it was awful what took place in Kansas City. And he said, and he came out and he said, that's ridiculous, but that's not going to deter us. And we're going to keep doing what we want to do because it makes us feel better. And it makes us feel, he said something like, it makes us feel like we're helping. And a lot of people feel helpless when it comes to this stuff. You saw that they settled with Breonna Taylor's family.
Yeah.
$12 million.
Yeah. But this is the thing though. I work with a lot of the family members.
I know you do.
They all have settlements. All of them the city paid out.
And the cops are not fired?
And the cops are not right.
How does that
They all have settlements. But the thing also, people got to also remember that they don't see all that money. Most of that is gone in lawyer fees and legal fees. Like right off the top, you know what I mean? Before that even.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah, Emerald broke that down to me. She was like, "Yeah, people think we got." She was like, All the time, anytime you see a lawyer on TV appearing and speaking on our behalf, they're paid by the hour. I was like, oh, they're like, yeah, that adds up.
If you get a chance in our final minute, check out Christine Brennan. She wrote for USA Today. She said. The Big Ten choked, it got scared, and it became the SEC.
Dang.
Read it. I'm telling you, read that article. It is sobering how dead on she is. And again, it's not about politics. It's not about your herd mentality. It's not about. Oh, come on. You didn't hear that?
Whatever.
Herd mentality?
Oh, herd mentality. I got you. I got it.
That was good.
That was good.
I'm trying.
Very good.
And message to Joe Biden: don't play Despacito on your phone when you're at a rally. Don't. That's a crappy song, and don't do it. Just don't. That's my advice. My friendly advice. Don't do it. You look dumb.
You look dumb.
That's not Bill Clinton playing the sax on Arsenio Hall. It's
right.
It's not the same. All right,
funny.
man. It's 2:30. We got to run. Thank you. But let's talk later. Let's make a plan because we need more.